Greetings, guys and girls, and a very warm welcome, watchers. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming at you guys with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring spawning in the south. It is going to be the Wehrmacht forces of HighFive. And spawning in the north, it is going to be the Soviet forces of Shadowwada. Now, I've just come out of casting a game of Shadowwada where he also played as the Soviet forces, so we'll have to see if he's going to keep the same kind of approach, the same kind of strategies, techniques, abilities, the same kind of build, or if he's going to mix it up and try something a little bit new. I, for one, would love to see him try the penal troops, because I've not actually seen them yet under the new patch, and they are one of the units to which significant changes were wrought. So that would be exciting. HighFive, of course, he's going to be playing as the Wehrmacht, and we've not actually had a look at them yet under the new patch on the channel at all. So let me just flick to their notes here in the patch notes to refresh myself and you guys at home with what's going on with our Wehrmacht homies. Seems like the 251 flame half-track, the upgrade cost has gone down from 120 to 90, the ready aim time has been reduced, the flamethrower damage against garrison units has been reduced, and the veteran C3 cooldown now benefits the flamethrowers. So pretty much a suite of buffs there to the 251 half-track, very nice to see. The support armor core building now has it's 15 fuel and 30 manpower cheaper, so that's quite nice. This MG42 getting immediately flanked here, a bit bothersome for HighFive, but he does fall it back in good order. The Brumbar has been like robustly buffed, basically. It's cheaper, it can crush through, it has heavy crush to help it navigate the battlefield, and it has some better AoE modifiers, its veterancy requirements are down, it has hold fire, so the Brumbar now, hopefully, we might even see it a little more often, which I would love to, because that's a cool building, a cool unit. Speaking of buildings, though, the Heavy Panzer Corps has had its cost reduced by 60 manpower and 25 fuel. So that Heavy Panzer Corps definitely much more achievable than it might have been otherwise. So that's really cool. And the Panzer IV command tank no longer receives benefits from its own aura, and Pioneers can construct sandbags. So actually probably the smallest list of changes for any faction there to the Wehrmacht under the new patch. Bear in mind, of course, that their sniper will have been affected by the changes to all snipers. He will be more vulnerable and takes slightly longer to fire at closer targets. So that's definitely a nerf there, but I mean it affects all snipers in the game, so it's not like it's kind of just hitting the Wehrmacht forces out there or anything. And of course, bear in mind the changes to mines. I don't know how that actually will work with the teleminefields, not teleminefields, with the S-minefields. I guess that the S-minefields will probably remain unchanged, actually, because they were pretty much unproblematic to begin with. But we'll see. We'll see if HighFive is going to lay any. Let's take a look at the builds here for these two players. HighFive up to 3 squads of Grenadiers, and he's also added that MG42 to his roster, so a pretty standard, well-rounded opening from HighFive. Some players prefer to go for a mortar squad over a 3rd squad of Grenadiers at this point. But on a map like this, I think a mortar is of slightly less use. I think that you really want 3 squads of Grenadiers, 1 to handle left, 1 mid, and 1 right. And that is the technique that we see employed here by HighFive, and I think I like that. I think if it was me in his shoes, I would do the same. Not that I'm an awesome player or anything, I'm but a humble caster, but I like to think I know something about this game, having played it as much as I have. Looks like a sniper going to be the next choice here for HighFive. For Shadowwada, it's a pretty standard lineup. 3 squads of conscripts, 1 extra squad of engineers, bringing him up to 2 engineers. What we saw him do last time was get the Flammenwerfer on 1 squad and the mine detector on the other squad. And then he went for Tankovy Battalion. No, he went for special weapon. Support weapon. I'll get there in the end. Support weapon Campanile. So, and then what did he mix in? It was like 1 mortar, 1 Maxim. And then he went Tankovy for T-70s. So looks so far like everything's lining up like he did last game. These Grenadiers caught in a pretty bad spot here. Negative cover, getting flamed down. Number of conscripts in their faces. HighFive going to have to fall that one back ASAP. The Major here, the Deutsche Sharpshooter, also going to have to GTFO. And the cutoff point here going to be grabbed by Shadowwada. That's actually going to disconnect a fuel point to 3 other points. So this is actually very annoying right now for HighFive. He's actually going to be putting some telemines in a nice location here. So some sneaky stuff coming out of our German player here. We'll see if those are going to pay off as this game moves on. Looks like some conscripts in a lovely position to get a flank on this MG42, getting caught in the arc a little bit, and that is going to cause them to get suppressed. But now a prompt Ura coming out of the other squad, Shadowwada here, demonstrating textbook Soviet plays to get a very nice flank on this MG team. These Grenadiers kind of doing what they can, but it's not going to be enough, and the MG42 is going to be forced to GTFO here. I'd love to see a retreat and not just a move. I don't know about just moving this thing. Yeah, he's going to retreat all of his units there. Wehrmacht forces still very brittle, it's safe to say, and noticeably so in the early game. You have to be very careful about what fights you do decide to take and which ones you don't. And looks like for now, going to be playing it defensively for HighFive. Of course, getting squad wiped in any way, shape or form, absolutely abysmal for... just as I say that, his units hit a mine, and you know how I was saying how mines can only kill 2 men out of a squad? Well, if that squad is on 2 men, then mines can still squad wipe. The squad wipe hype is back. So there it goes. Mines are still very real. Looks like these grenadiers over here are going to be pushed out. There's just conscripts and engineers here. It's just more than 3 grenadiers can take on, really. These grenadiers are also going to be forced back. Wehrmacht forces sometimes just feel really weedy in the early game. Before you get your upgrades and before you get your interlinking support network of MGs, mortars, and you know all of the units that the Axis teams... that the Wehrmacht team kind of hinges on. Grenadiers do feel, or can feel, very lackluster. Looks like an Ura going to be forced, not forced here, but used to force this sniper back, yeah, and that's going to force the fallback. This sniper hardly having had a chance to be efficient. For a start, he's firing at Soviets who aren't worth very much, and he's also spent most of his time running to and from the base. So things not really going the way of HighFive right now. Having said that, though, he has resecured his cutoff point here some time ago, so the resources are flowing. He's not falling that far behind. In the victory point stakes as well, just 1 point separating the 2 players right now. So HighFive definitely not getting the engagements he wanted, definitely not securing the damage against the forces of Shadowwada that he would have liked to have looked for. But he's not really losing out that much because of it. And he's definitely still very much in this game. No actual game-breaking damage has been inflicted or anything. MG42 here in a reasonable position, going to find a couple of squads. That's actually pretty annoying for Shadowwada. But the PM, 81 mortar, going to start hooning down on this MG team. There we go. And that's going to force it to have to relocate. The German marksman making his way back out onto the field. A fresh squad of pioneers, now with mine detector. Seemingly HighFive has learned his lesson. I believe last time Shadowwada went for the, it was Mechanized Support Tactics Commander. We'll see if he's going to pull the same thing this time. There are some engineers back at base. Oh no, they're not, sorry, my bad. I'm just waiting for the timing on Shadowwada's Tankovy Battalion command. Plenty of mines being used by both players, actually, so this is pretty cool. Soviet mines appearing here, here, are all of the meaningful chokes here. Shadowwada being very very active with his munition spending. Is this mortar squad really meaning to come this deep? Oh, wow. I mean, it must be. That is a brutal position. From here, it can... Oh, God, it can fire here. That is a big concentration of Axis units. There comes the first shell. This is a good concentration here. It can be. It's almost hard for them to miss that. Sniper in a decent position, up to just... Look at this, he has 6 kills, but look how little veterancy that represents against Soviet forces. Uh-oh, Sniper here is going to get caught out, though, by conscripts. Going to have to fall back again. Grenadiers just getting gunned down. Seems so far like an easy day in the office for the forces of Shadowwada here. Shadowwada's just manhandling HighFive a little bit. Pushing all across the map. You can see on the minimap there are Soviet units capturing everywhere. The majority of the Axis units just in the base at the moment, forced to just sit around. And I don't know, actually. I always have a really hard time on this map when I play as Wehrmacht. And I'm going too far by saying that this is a difficult map for Wehrmacht, but in my experience, this has actually always been quite a tricky map for Wehrmacht, and I feel like HighFive is experiencing that. Lucky for him, he's not up against British forces, who I think do very well on this map. This is such a great map for British forces, because it's quite wide, but you spawn quite close to your opponent. Things like mortar pits and Bofors feel like they actually lock down a disproportionately large amount of the map. Anyway, looks like these pioneers here are going to try and get a defuse on these mines. They are going to do that, but then they're going to have to fall back immediately. There we go. So a nice defuse there. Uh-oh, 2 sets of mines there in nice positions here. These grenadiers moving into the hood. And HighFive's going to have to be careful. I'm not sure if those pioneers with their metal detectors actually revealed these mines or not, so I'm not sure if HighFive knows that they're there. I'm going to go ahead and say I think he doesn't. So these grenadiers might be up for getting some mines in the face as soon as they start moving again. 222 scout car and a GR34 mortar. Going to be the next units added on here, so I like those choices there for HighFive. They both make a lot of sense. For the Soviet player, it was, of course, the Tank of Battalion commander. Now we do have the T-70 moving out onto the field. So it looks like Shadowwada sticking with a build that he knows and is comfortable with here. And, I mean, the German player has not forced him to adapt in any way, so this seems absolutely fine right now. 222 here is going to encounter the Soviet light tank, and that's going to be issues, of course. The 222 doesn't really match up very well against the T-70, so he's going to have to pull that back. I'd like to see him prioritize the T-70, though, with his also cannon, just because it does do some damage to the Soviet light tank. Oh, no. Oh, well, there goes the 222. That's a pretty brutal loss as one of the crewmen ejects out of the hatch on the roof there. And now things are just kind of getting out of control here. If I was Shadowwada, I would just throw all my money into another T-70 and push for the kill here. I feel like there's basically nothing the Axis player can do. This SimCity here is kind of problematic, actually. He's sort of almost blocking the way out of his base a little bit, which is annoying. And by SimCity, what I mean is like where the players have chosen to put their buildings. You can be quite clever in some RTSs with the SimCity. In Company of Heroes 2, not so much. It's not so much of a feature, but this is slightly annoying. Having the infantry company like that is a little annoying. Here comes the T-70. Yeah, looks like Shadowwada heard me, and he's going for a second T-70 quite quickly here. Looking to really take this fight to the Axis player. The victory point situation has opened up a little bit. There's like 47 points between the two players, but nothing to write home about. HighFive can definitely, if he can stabilize here without losing too many squads and take back some map control, there's every chance here for HighFive. And to be honest, for Wehrmacht forces to be this far behind Soviets at this point in the game is pretty standard. It takes some very spicy Wehrmacht play to actually look at all dominant at this stage in the game. So, you know, actually maybe things aren't that bad for HighFive. But having said that, you know, all it takes is one thing to go wrong. Like, I think if he sustains like one squad wipe in the next minute or so, this is going to be awful. And the T-70 here is chasing in, looking for just such a squad wipe. Probably not going to get it. A pack gun is coming now on the queue, but very late here for HighFive. There's already two T-70s out with basically nothing to stop them from doing grievous damage, so they're both just going to chase in here. Shadowwada can smell the blood in the water, actually. He's going for the Grenadiers. Yeah, he does get a squad wipe. And this is what I was afraid about. I mean, he can't be hemorrhaging units now. If HighFive starts hemorrhaging units, then he really, really, really will be behind. Like, look at the size of the Soviet army. Look at the top right compared to the top left. Like, undoubtedly Shadowwada with the finer fighting forces right now. And I like his chances in this game much better. Here comes that pack gun, but I mean with two T-70s on the field, all it takes is being out of position or facing the wrong way for a split second, and you will lose this pack gun. It is an incredibly fragile and high-value target when you've got this amount of Soviet forces, not to mention two mortars on the field. Damn. Shadowwada here being pretty relentless, repairing the T-70s more or less in situ, very nice. Look at all these Axis forces just sitting around doing nothing. He's got a sniper, an MG team, a pioneer squad, and two Grenadier squads, literally, all at full health, just sitting in the base, doing nothing, just their effectiveness being nullified right now. Absolutely disgusting work here from Shadowwada. And a second pack gun is going to be the choice for the Axis player, which I like. But his first pack gun already, like, crucially wounded down to 3 men. Here it comes, just going to push on out, but there's a Maxim facing all of these units. No Flammenwerfer. MG42 going to bravely try and deploy right here, which it actually manages to get deployed, starts hooning away. Going to start mowing down the conscripts. Remember, ever since the new patch, once units are suppressed, the range on any grenades they try and throw is severely reduced. So if these conscripts want to try and get a Molotov out, which they don't even have researched, but if they wanted to try and get a Molotov out, it would be harder than we're used to. These mortars are going to start falling right into the middle of these units here. Oh, I don't like this at all for the Axis player. He's also like taking mortar hits in the base, in the face, which is pretty brutal here. Oh god, Shadowwada. Oh, he's going to get this MG42 for sure. And I think this may already be game here as we move up to the 15-minute mark. Shadowwada locking up what appears to be another quick victory here. I mean, with the pack guns actually facing this way, Shadowwada knows this. He could actually just poke in with the T-70, just position it here, take some shots into these repairing squads. That'll be utterly brutal. Perhaps just a risk too far, though. I mean, like, he doesn't even need to play that aggressively, and he can still come out of this looking very good. Shadowwada getting some work done. A pack gun here finding some shots against the T-70. Probably going to get one hit, maybe. Yep, there it is. Biff doing some good damage at last. But, I mean, look at the mini-map. The story is written. And the color of that story is red. Fitting, really, for the Soviets. Looks like HighFive's going to go ahead and choose his commander. He's chosen the Mechanized Assault Doctrine. He can call in the Assault Grenadiers. He can call in the Stug Lights. And you kind of have to feel like he's chosen this commander on account of the Stug Light. The Stug 3 Ausuf E Assault Gun. And here it comes, 200 manpower and what, 75? Yeah, 75 fuel being spent to summon the Stug Light, and this is an effective deterrent for pretty much all of these units on the field here. This will deal with all of the weapon teams, with all of the infantry, and indeed the T-70s as long as it doesn't get surrounded. Wow, he's coming out very hard and aggressive with this unit. This is very aggressive positioning, and it is moderately unsupported, so I do worry a little bit for this Stug. I assume that anti-tank grenades have finished. Yeah, they have, so the anti-tank grenade is ready on the Soviet units. I believe that the RPG-43 was also actually buffed a little bit. Now the animation completes and starts a lot faster. Yeah, it takes like half the time to throw that grenade than it used to, so much more responsive. Oh, sorry, whilst I was just checking the patch notes, damn it looks like one of the T-70s was gunned down. Here it is. So a nice kill from this pack gun, I believe, finding that T-70. So that's a pickup there for HighFive. He's trailing now at 293 under 458, but the game is not actually lost. Oh! Oh, the Stug Light getting a brutal squad wipe there. That was a very nice shot. Meanwhile, fighting on the right flank, Panzerfaust's going to find the T-70, but the Grenadiers are in brutal jeopardy. This next autocannon round is going to get the wipe. That was absolutely horrendous, but a pack gun in position, looking to capitalize against the weakened Soviet light tank. The final shot comes down, but it's a miss. The round skimming on the ground just here. Soviet conscript's going to come forward looking for the AT grenades. This Stug, I think, could have chased and gotten the T-70 if he'd have really wanted to. But I suppose he has to be careful. He doesn't know it yet, but there is an Su-76 on the field moving out. And that's a very nice counter for these Stug Light Assault Gun. Now these pack guns actually kind of hung out a little bit. So the Wehrmacht Sniper now to 1 star, but he's going to be forced to scurry on out of here. And now these pack guns just kind of taking fire from these conscripts who are running up all over them. There we go. The fallback's going to come down. Some kind of marked target being used here, so this Stug is marked, and I believe, here comes the Su-76, going to be looking for the KO blow here, but actually the pack gun's providing some decent protection, even getting some good damage onto this Su-76, which is going to be forced to be scarce. Note as well, Shadowwada planting down yet more TM-35 mines, being very crafty here, and I do like his commitment to mines, even in this world in which mines are less good. Look at the placement here, in this gap, in this gap, in this gap, randomly here in the open. Like, oh my goodness. The German player does have 1 metal detector, but only 1. Now here comes a light artillery barrage here, going to probably find this Maxim. Here it comes. More additional shells are going to be landing, which is 1 man remaining on the Maxim. He's going to try and get it out of there. He gets the Maxim out of there. Somebody get this guy, hero of the Soviet Union, Order of Lenin, some kind of fatty medal for that one, because that was quite impressive. He's going to get that one out of there with a story to tell his grandkids. The Axis forces, though, still just pinned in the base. And he's seemingly unable to repair this Stug, which has been sat here burning for some time, not to mention also facing in the wrong direction. Panzer Grenadiers on the field have been for a little while. Now they're going to be taking a trip out into the field. And for HighFive, let's just check the tech here. Yeah, seemingly no interest in going to Battle Phase 2, and you can't really blame him. When you take this commander, you really do just ride by on the Stuggies and your infantry forces and try and make it into Tiger territory. So that's definitely the plan here for HighFive. Shadowwada investing in a Katusha. Oh, gross. So he does have the mechanized armor Campanile here, constructed and ready. Whoa, these Panzer Grenadiers running out into death. HighFive is going to catch them and pull them out intact. But that was not where they wanted to be. Light artillery barrage going to be coming down and savaging this MG42, which Shadowwada was able to loot earlier in the game. But this Katusha, right, the entire game pretty much, all of HighFive's forces have been like concentrated in this area here. They've been constantly falling back, getting what they can done, falling back, just repairing units, doing everything here. So a Katusha is really the checkmate piece, because if a Katusha just says you can't stand here, mate, or you lose everything. And that's quite a strong thing to be able to do. So anyway, here comes the rocket truck for the Soviet forces. And if he just fires it like here, he just stands to do gruesome and brutal damage to all of HighFive's units. Like, it's going to be absolutely a mess. So he takes the shots here from quite close, so the scatter's not even going to be that bad. finds immediately the 2 pack guns here, so they ought to die, I would have thought. The odds of them making it out of this intact are like 0 here. There they go. So wiping out the 2 AT guns, absolutely fantastic here. Now the T-70 and the Su-76 can move with a considerable degree of freedom. HighFive knows it, and he is gonna tap out. Wow, Shadowwada taking a quick 2 games in a row here, very nicely with the Soviet play. This build for him, where he goes 2 squads of engineers, 3 squads of conscripts, 1 with mine detector, 1 with flamer on the engineers. Then he goes into the Tank V battalion command, gets a T-70, follows it up with a second if it looks like a good option. If not, he pivots. Oh yeah, sorry. Before the Tank V battalion command, he gets the support weapon Campanile, goes for the mortar and a Maxim, and it looks like a very solid, very capable, very well-rounded generalist build here from Shadowwada, which is doing good damage, and we've seen him use 2 different commanders so far. We've seen him use guard motor coordination tactics this game. So, yeah, I think Shadowwada just looking like he's getting a little bit of practice in, just doing some sparring, practicing some builds, using a few commanders, trying to figure out the new patch. Very nice to see. So yeah, Soviet players out there, do take note. This seems like a pretty good starting point for finding your feet in the new patch. So if you were feeling a little bit dubious about heading on out to the ladder until you've seen some play under this very changed game that we're now playing in, yeah, Shadowwada here, possibly showing you the way. I am going to jump into a 4th consecutive cast because, god damn it, we've got a new balance patch and somebody's got to do the casting. No, but seriously, I'm just really hyped about this game right now. So I'm going to go and cast another game. For now, this is Magpie842 signing out.